We've got ourselves another deck from the European International Championships coming to you from Stephan Chan. This is his top 50 Malamar VMAX Arceus deck, which I think is a lot of fun. Malamar VMAX has always been one of those cards that we really want to see having some success. It's so fun and so powerful, and it's really surprising that it hasn't been super popular so far. Its attack max jammer for 2 dark and a colorless energy deals 180 damage, which is going to half hit every single card in the game. When your opponent reveals their hand, you choose one of their cards and shuffle it onto, or put it onto the bottom of their deck. Sorry, not shuffle, just put it straight on the bottom. That means that you know your opponent is not going to have access to that card in the upcoming turn, and that can sometimes make the difference between winning and losing a game. Malamar is a VMAX Pokemon, so you're going to lose 3 prizes every time it gets knocked out, but it's weak to grass. Grass isn't super popular at the moment. I think this is a really, really solid option. Now, it hasn't been popular because it hasn't been easy to power this guy up, but now with Arceus VSTAR, we can do that really, really easily. Trinity Nova for 3 colorless energy deals 200 damage, plus we can accelerate up to 3 basic energy from our deck onto our V Pokemon in any way we like. That is really, really good at powering up our Malamar, obviously, but we also have the added bonus of the Starbirth V-Star power. That means once per game, we can use this ability to search our deck for any 2 cards and put them into our hand. A really, really strong way to get your deck moving. Talking about consistency, this deck has a lot going for it. There's one copy of Crobat V, which is a basic V Pokemon that allows you to draw cards until you have 6 in your hand when you play it onto your bench. You can only do this once per turn, but obviously it is very strong. And we've also got Crobat VMAX as a potential backup attacker as well, if we do play that Crobat down. But more importantly, we have a couple of copies of Industrious Incisors Bibarel, which allows us to draw until we have 5 cards in our hand once per turn per Bibarel, which is fantastic. It's a really, really good way to ensure that you've got yourself a consistent draw engine throughout the entirety of the game. And unlike Crobat, this Bibarel can be used every turn, right? So you can keep using it even after you've played it, which is very, very strong. How else are we going to try and beat our opponent? Well, obviously we're going to try and remove their supporter cards, stop them from being able to do what they want to do, and one of the key elements of that is going to be Path to the Peak. If we can remove a stadium or a supporter card from our opponent's hand, then we can potentially play down Path in the same turn and lock them out of being able to draw more cards in their next turn, which can be enough to get yourself the win. Obviously, Malamar's not taking big one-shots, but if your opponent can't do anything, then you will eventually run over the top of your opponent. This deck is incredibly strong. There's some really good cards in it. I particularly like the copy of Rose, which allows us to attach 2 basic energy cards from our discard pile to our Pokemon VMAX and then discard our hand. I really like this card. I hope that I can get it to work in some games for you. If you want to check out the list yourself, it's down below in the description. Check that one out, play it in PTCGO and see if you enjoy it as much as I have. So our first game with Malamar, and we've got ourselves a pretty good hand, frankly. Bidoof for the bench. We've got a Quick Ball. We can use that to grab ourselves a Malamar. We've got a basic energy as well, which I really like. So we're going to throw that Malamar onto the bench. We can attach the basic energy to our Arceus and then pass the turn. It looks like our opponent has got a Moltres in the active, so this could be any number of different decks. We could be looking at a Inteleon kind of dark box list. We could be looking at the new Urshifu deck, which would be really frightening to go up against here. The one that Gustavo Wada used to win the European IC. We'll have to see what it is that our opponent's playing here. A level ball indicates that they've probably got Sobble, but to be honest, we were expecting that regardless. No matter what they were playing, we were expecting them to see Sobble because that is a very, very popular engine at the moment. This Quick Ball could make the difference. Fighting energy. Okay, so we are playing against Rapid Strike Urshifu. This is going to be pretty terrifying because Arceus, I don't know if you've noticed, but Arceus is weak to fighting. It's not ideal. We'll see how it goes. We've got a decent hand here, though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually Ultra Ball away the Arceus and the Marnie, and we're going to go and grab ourselves an Arceus V-Star. I think that's probably a good choice. Only one of them in the deck, which is a bit of a concern. We'll grab that Arceus V-Star. We can then use our Starbirth ability to search out some cards to make our hand that little bit better. I'm thinking Research and Double Turbo seem pretty good. Give us a fresh hand of 7, plus the ability to attack this turn, and taking a knockout is very important. We've got to get in front nice and early. We also have an Ultra Ball here, which would be nice. We can use that to get a Bibarel at some point in the future, but for now, we'll just take the knockout and accelerate some Dark Energy to our Malamar. Now, we play a lot of Marnie in this deck, which means we are in a decent spot against these kind of Sobble engines. What we can do is we can Marnie our opponent, force them to have a fresh hand of 4 cards, and then maybe if we can get an attack off with the Malamar, we can remove any cards that they might be able to use to get their board going. So hopefully we can do that. The issue is that these kind of Sobble Inteleon decks have so many outs to Drizzile or other consistency cards. It just makes it so difficult to lock them down. Hopefully Malamar can do the job, but we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Our opponent is grabbing a Drizzile here. They'll likely evolve their benched Sobble if they're going to evolve either of them. That means that they can then use the Keep Calling attack on their active Sobble to increase the amount of Rapid Strike Pokemon that they have on their bench. They weren't able to do that last turn, and I'm sure they really would have preferred to have done that, just because it is such a powerful early game attack. Especially in this Rapid Strike deck, it can search out the V, it can search out your support Pokemon. It does pretty much everything you could want it to do. So there is that Rapid Strike Urshifu. And now we'll probably see either, well, I'd expect to see an attachment. They're actually going to retreat into Snorlax. Okay, that's not the move that I was expecting. Here comes a Shady Dealings Drizzile. So yeah, it looks like maybe they're just going to go for the Gourmandize, which is not a terrible way to approach this situation. It's obviously not ideal. They don't want to leave themselves in a situation where they can't move their board state onwards. And it kind of looks like they're going to go for a bit of a Drizzile chain here. Maybe another Sobble. That seems perfectly reasonable as well. Search out that Sobble, play it down on the bench, and then Gourmandize. They'll draw some extra cards, draw up to 7, and then it is our turn. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to throw the Choice Belt onto the Malamar. We're going to Quick Ball. We'll get rid of the Pumpkaboo. I don't think we need that per se. And then I might just grab the Crobat. We might grab that. It's not necessarily required here. We could potentially just Ultra Ball it away. What we'll do is we'll get rid of the energy though, grab ourselves a Bibarel. I like the idea of having that extra support. We can throw that down. We can switch into the Malamar if we'd like, and then we can Crobat and Marnie and Bibarel to draw some extra cards, which I'm a big fan of. I like that quite a bit. Path of the Peak's looking very enticing. Ultra Ball's pretty good as well. We'll get rid of Path of the Peak though. I don't think that these decks really play that many of those cards. And grab ourselves a Malamar. Pop that onto the bench and attach an energy to it. And here comes our Marnie. Hopefully we can reduce our opponent's playable hand at least somewhat. I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but hopefully we can get that to happen. We will Max Jammer here, take a knockout on the Gourmandize Snorlax, and take a look at their hand. And their hand is terrible. We'll get rid of the Evo Incense. Thank you very much. Their hand is full of energy, and now we are taking a prize, and they are top decking to try and get something going here. So they have to draw a card that is not a... Well, they just top decked an Inteleon. That's not ideal. They just top decked one of the best cards that they could have picked up to get out of that dead hand. We know that they're sitting there with 3 energy in their hand. Unfortunate. I thought we would have a video, but apparently not. And now I've gone way too greedy on the bench as well. Oh no, and they've got Raihan, so they can hit into me really hard, and they can Cheryl. Oh, this is not looking good, guys. This is not looking good. Okay, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? It looks like they're going to attach a Fighting Energy with their Raihan here and go for a bit of a search, which I don't mind. I don't feel like that's terrible. They're going to go for a Drizzile, no worries. They can search out some cards. I'm not morally opposed to them searching out cards. They're going to go for the Evo Incense. Again, that's perfectly fine. I'm happy for them to do that. This is all fine. I'm not worried, you're worried. And they're going to G-Max Rapid Flow. That is a very powerful turn out of nowhere. And they're removing both of my benched Bidoofs. Means all of our support Pokemon on the field are now gone. But you know what? I don't really mind. We're going to evolve into Crobat VMAX here. Just make life that little bit tougher for our opponent. And then we've got a whole bunch of supporter cards here. We could Marnie. We know our opponent's hand is all energy bar 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a couple of Vs here. We'll grab a Malamar VMAX just to make that a little bit more difficult to knock out and attach the double turbo. Then we'll Max Jammer. Hopefully we can remove a good card from their hand. What have they got? They've got absolutely nothing again. They've got the Cheryl. I'm going to get rid of that. They don't need that. Quick Ball could find them a Crobat, but that's fine. This should stop our opponent from being able to heal their damage, and it means that... Did they just top deck that Drizzile? They had a Sobble and an... Oh my god. Oh my god. They've just come in 2 turns in a row, top decking out of these dead hands. Sobble triple energy? You know what, it's not that big of a deal. We'll just top deck a Drizzile. It's fine. We top decked Inteleon last turn. We're just gonna get everything that we need. No stress. Oh, that's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Plays for days. They are taking a little bit of time here, though, to decide. If they do go for the Cheryl, it does make life a little easier for us, because it means that they're unlikely to do too much else. So I don't really mind if they go for Cheryl. Looks like they're not going to do that, instead going for the Evolution Incense. Maybe searching out, yep, a second Shady Dealings Inteleon. This could do anything, realistically. They could grab pretty much anything that they want, but if they remove their hand, they're going to lose a lot of the energy that they need. And if they keep that Urshifu in the field of play, at the moment it's their only attacker, and it's halfway to being knocked out by our Malamar VMAX, there's no way that our opponent can possibly get a knockout on it this turn. So I'm still feeling okay. Even though our opponent has gotten pretty lucky, we are still not in a bad position. I would feel like our position would be even better if we could find ourselves a Dunsparce. We find Dunsparce, we turn off the weakness of all of our normal type Pokemon, means that life is going to be a lot more difficult for our opponent trying to take a KO. Now here's that Cheryl, we didn't want to see that. Ultimately, there's not much we can do about our opponent top decking. They're going to go for the Tower of Waters and move into Sobble. Now, I'm 99% sure that their hand is absolute garbage here, right? Plus, we're going to be able to Max Jammer to remove it. And we've managed to top deck a Manaphy, which is incredibly good. I don't think we need to worry just yet. We're going to Max Jammer and remove one of the 2 cards that are in their hand. Quick Ball and a Fighting Energy will get rid of the... I think we'll get rid of the energy here. That Quick Ball doesn't really do anything for them. The Fighting Energy could get them an attack. We'll remove that. They have 1 card in their hand, and it is a Quick Ball. So they shouldn't be able to do anything this turn. I mean, they could Quick Ball, or they could just top deck another energy. What? Why is this happening? Oh my gosh. Oh, well, okay. Now you've got no cards, mate. You've got 0 cards. I'm going to path you. I'm going to attack you with Max Jammer. And you are going to have 0 cards to work with. How do you feel about that? Top deck out of this one, Players for Days. Please, just watch him get the research here. Just watch him get the research. Go on. Play your card. Play your research that you just top decked, Players for Days. Come on. Let's go. You've top decked 3 times in a row. They didn't play it instantly. I feel like we might have finally done it. We may have finally done it, ladies and gentlemen. At the moment, we've got them locked with not a lot of cards in there. They've just got another energy, okay. So they can go for a G-Max Rapid Flow. That doesn't really achieve it too much here. They might actually just go for the retreat into another Pokemon. just to kind of try and keep themselves alive. It looks like that's what they're going to do. And I don't have a problem with that at all. This seems pretty good. We are going to start playing around here. We're going to grab a whole bunch of stuff. I'm thinking Dunsparce seems like a pretty cool card to have. Don't necessarily need it with the Crobat in play. We'll just research instead. I don't think that our opponent's ever going to be able to get themselves out of this spot. And now we've got Boss's Orders, which is fantastic. So we can probably go on to win the game next turn. Just go for the Max Jammer here, take the knockout. They've got 0 cards in hand. They've got absolutely nothing that they can do. They've got no access to Sobble. They have 1 Inteleon slot left, but they don't have Inteleons left in the deck. They can't do anything. We've finally done it. We've finally got to a position where our opponent cannot get out of the lock that we've established. Malamar VMAX with Max Jammer has finally worn this Urshifu down, and now it's a simple matter of clicking Boss's Orders, bringing that Urshifu to the active, and using Max Jammer to win the game. 210 damage to the active. There are no cards. Doesn't matter. We've taken all of our prizes. I think that's a pretty solid effort. What was that sound? I have no idea what's going on, and we are playing up against Duraludon here. Okay, someone must have just become a member. That's incredible. Thank you very much to those people that have jumped on and become a member for the channel, or they've subscribed, which you are welcome to do. Plus, you could like, you could do all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to sit around here and ask you to do that all day. Instead, we're going to try and make a decision about what the best things to Ultra Ball here are. I'm thinking it's Ordinary Rod and probably the Switch, to be honest. We're going to use that particular combination of cards to grab ourselves a Crobat. That'll help us draw a little bit. We'll escape rope and bring up one of those Duraludons into the active just to make our opponent's life a little bit more difficult. We've got double Turbo Energy, we've got Arceus, we've got 5 more cards with our Crobat. We'll draw until we have 6, and a Bidoof. That's fantastic. I like that. To be honest, I don't think we really need Tamani. We could. But I think Trinity Charge is a perfectly acceptable attack here. We'll just throw these energies down. We'll chuck them all onto the benched Arceus, I think. We've got energy in hand anyway. Plus, we have Arceus VSTAR in hand, so we can get ourselves access to a Malamar this turn if we need one. Then escape rope, we'll just put the Arceus V with 3 energy into the active. That is fine by me, and hopefully we can slow this Duraludon deck down. It looks, though, like they are having a slow enough time by themselves, so pretty happy with that, to be honest. They're going to go for Trinity Charge now, and accelerate some energies to one of their Duraludons. And they're going to try and set up their Duraludon VMAX, a massive 330 HP Pokemon that cannot be damaged by anything that has special energy on it. So we need to be careful. I'm going to go for Bibarel here. Then I'm thinking we're just going to Marnie. We're just going to rip that Marnie here. We'll shuffle our hand to the bottom of our deck and draw a few cards. Hey, I was going to say we might Starbirth for the Choice Band. I'm just going to use it, I think. We can Quick Ball now, get rid of Adventurous Discovery. We're going to grab ourselves a Malamar. We can put that into play as well. We can attach the Choice Belt to the active, which will allow us to knock the Arceus out. Industrious Incisors can draw some more cards. And then, incredibly, we will be able to take a knockout on turn 2. We'll attach to this Malamar here as well, I think. And then we can Trinity Nova. We don't even need to Starbirth. It's an ability that we don't even need. We're just going to use the attack. Who cares about the most broken ability in the game? We don't need it. Not required. Although, to be fair, next turn we might need it. So, it's worth keeping it in our back pocket, because we do need to pick up a Malamar VMAX next turn. So, definitely worth investigating. Looks to me like our opponent does have access to their Duraludon VMAX. So, they will get that in play right now. They've got attack with G-Max Pulverization, and it looks like they're going for a Marnie of their own. So, they're going to remove my hand, put it on the bottom, and we'll draw 4. And that's a pretty good hand to get. I like this here. We can evolve into Malamar VMAX. We can Marnie ourselves if we want to. We can even research, to be honest. We might just play that. They've got 4 cards anyway. Throw that down. And we've got a really good hand here. I like this. I like this a lot. We could just Trinity Nova. I think that's probably fine. But to be honest, we might just retreat into Malamar here. May as well get our little combination going. We can even Quick Ball away one of these useless cards. Maybe that's Dunsparce. We'll get rid of that and look at another Pokemon on the bench. perhaps Bidoof. We've got Rose in the deck, so we could even go for another basic Malamar if we want to. I don't think we really need to. We'll just grab the Bidoof, thin it out of the deck, and then I think it is. I think it's time. It's time to just max jammer. We're just gonna go for it. We're gonna half hit this Duraludon, and we're gonna remove that Professor's Research. That looks like a card that could really extend their hand next turn. They might use the boss. They've got 2 boss's orders, and they might use that to bring out our Arceus V-Star. But to be honest, if they do that, that's fine. Like, that's not a problem for us, because we can just max jammer and continually remove cards from their hand if they're not drawing more. So I'm more than happy for this boss's orders to come out. They're going to bring the Arceus V to the active, which is more than reasonable, and then there will G-Max Pulverization for a knockout, grab a couple of prize cards. We've got enough, I think, attack to take a knockout on this Duraludon VMAX with our Malamar, so let's go for it. There's that Crobat VMAX again. We may as well chuck him down now that our opponent is attacking. And yeah, I don't think we need to do much more than just go for it. I will Starbirth here, just to make sure that I can use it. And our opponent concedes. Well, I mean, I think that means that we must have been in a pretty good position. Thank you everyone for coming past and watching this Malamar deck. To be honest, I think it's a lot of fun. I've very much enjoyed playing with it. It's maybe not the best deck out there, but it's definitely very, very strong. As is this deck over here. Sylveon VMAX is very, very powerful and very popular from the European International Championships. So check that one out if you've got a moment. And thank you, as always, for coming past and watching the Sableyes. Thanks.